But I'm going to introduce you to the village. We are here in the village of Genestra, and I'm going to see if I can kind of back up here where you can see the street signs. So a little bit of introduction to the village itself. It is, and it is based in Italy, but it's actually a historically, ethnically Arborish village. And so if you look at the street signs, you'll see on the top that there is a name that's written in Italian, Via, which means street. And then below you see Uda. And this is in Arborish, or a historic Albanian language that's found here in here in southern Italy. The history of this community is it was founded over 500 years ago when people of Albania fled the invasion of the Ottoman Turks. And so they came to this area and formed a village that today is known as Genestra. So I'm hearing that maybe the video is not on, but the audio is good. I'm really sorry about this, guys. I tried to find a stable Wi-Fi signal and there's just doesn't exist in the village. So I'm going to see if maybe it'll connect better in this other location. But we are getting set up here. There is a group of people by the church. Just let me know if the video does come back on. Maybe I can try and reconnect with this. Let's see. Trying to get reconnected to this other person's phone. Or maybe this will work. I'm sorry, guys. I was hoping that we would get these technical details fixed, but it's been a bit more problematic. Let's see. I'm trying one more thing. Okay. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's see. Let me know if the video does come back on. I'll give you a little bit of a audio explanation of where we're at, though. In the meantime, we are here in the piazza near the church, and I'm here with a local herbalist, Rafaela Enense, who has a table set up with many different herbs, and we have a group of around, 25 local. Okay, great. You can see me now. Thank you. So we are in this small village of Genestra. I'm going to show people are getting set up here. And we're at the central area of the piazza. And we have this nice table of herbs set up that we're going to be discussing in our workshop. You can all see that. We're going to be discussing this in our workshop on traditional medicines of the region. And some of the recipes for these workshop activities come from a book that I wrote. You can see it here. This is Medicina Popolare del Vulture. This is my first book I wrote, actually. It was self-published as part of an initiative funded through the European Union many years ago. I came to this community in 2001 to do research and did a lot of my doctoral work here as well. And we took what was also published, of course, in scientific papers, and wrote it in a classic kind of almost cookbook style exhibition that's written in both Italian and English. And it also has names of different herbs in Arborish. So today, as Rafaela gives a bit of an introduction on some of the herbs that we'll be discussing, I'll also translate live for you. And here's Rafaela. We can say hello. So she'll be speaking in Italian. I will do my best to translate behind the scenes so you can all kind of get a good sense of this. And I'll set up the phone, hopefully where we can be seen well. We've just got some more people coming in. While folks are getting set up, I also want to show you a new special feature of the community. A local artist has gone through and in different parts of the community has actually created paintings on the walls of some of the elders. So you can see, let's see if we can, nope, here it is. You can see behind me, this is one example, and you can find these beautiful images of some of the elders of the community throughout, really celebrating the Arborish heritage here. Okay, so I'm going to set the camera up in a way that hopefully we can capture both Rafaela and I. And it may actually, I may call my husband to help us with holding this, so he can sit and hold it to kind of face towards us. So maybe we can get situated here. Yeah, and then you can see us, I think, here. Yes. Okay. Okay. Siamo pronti. Okay. And hopefully everyone can hear me okay. I'm going to see if there's any notes here. Yes. So you can hear us. Maybe if the audio or video goes down, just let us know. We'll do our best. We're kind of doing this on the fly. So thank you for your patience. Okay. Maybe you can show them all the people that are here. Okay. We got folks ready to learn about making some beautiful herbs. And it's this kind of like community outreach event. So I just love being involved in it. It's such fun to be able to work today with Raffaella. So thank you to Marco. We'll kind of just grab a seat and then be able to go through things. Okay, siamo pronti, iniziamo? Okay. Okay, first we're going to describe a bit of the project. Ok? Lo traduco al vivo in inglese? Sì. Sì, in diretta. Lo provo. Ok. Fai un po' a lei anche che non si vede. Ecco. Ok. Okay. Just thank you everyone for coming. Violetta, vuoi parlare? Sì. Okay. So we're going to start by introducing the project that they have happening in the community. Ciao, piacere. Piacere. Okay. No. Okay. Allora. Mhm. We're just getting everyone together to do introductions to the workshop. Okay. Okay.
Mi sento un po' di emozione. Di solito sono.
See, she's feeling a bit emotional. This is a really exciting day. She's used to speaking in public. This is a very emotional day. Okay. Welcome and good afternoon, everyone.
Sono veramente contenta di essere qui in questo.
She's so happy to be here in Ginestra.
Presentare uno dei.
She's so happy to be here to present one of many workshops that will be happening between now and August to celebrate the cultural history and heritage that's really a hidden and beautiful part of Monte Voltore.
Ho appuntato alcune.
She's had many thoughts about this.
Ritengo che meritano di essere con attenzione, con cura.
She wants to give this a lot of attention and care.
Se qualche volta passerò lo sguardo.
She wants to share with you all some thoughts on this process.
Progetto Donne Art.
The project of Women in Art that was born here in the Voltore region. It's a project that began with an ambition
Un patrimonio silenzioso.
to bring light to a heritage that's been hidden.
Dimenticato.
It's a heritage that's somewhat forgotten,
Vivo e presente.
but is actually alive and present. And it's the one that's really taken forward by the custodians or the women that take this forward.
Un patrimonio fatto di
The heritage of art, of course,
di getti,
but also of movement, of motion.
dati, di relazioni.
It's a heritage or a memory that you don't necessarily conserve in museums, but rather in the hands of women, and through the stories that are shared. Women that live in our communities.
E allo stesso tempo
It's a simple thing, but also a very profound thing.
Esperienza femminile.
The female experience is one that's integral to the local community.
Siamo qui a Ginestra, un piccolo borgo,
Say we're in Ginestra, in a very small village,
ma ricco di storia,
but it's a rich
identità,
in history,
di
rich in identity,
appartenenza,
rich in
di
knowledge,
resilienza.
rich in
di
resilience.
E da
It's from here that she wants to begin.
luoghi più piccoli,
From the smallest of communities,
fortemente lontano dai riflettori, ma c'è
where the stories, the most precious stories and most authentic stories are saved.
vogliamo creare un percorso
It's from here that we wish to create a road of
di memoria,
memories,
soprattutto di donne,
road of memories of women,
quando ci
like we
siamo
had in the
fatti
past.
poi. Il laboratorio di oggi,
The workshop today,
Radici di bellezza,
the roots of
fatto da
beauty,
Raffaella Erenze, che io ringrazio,
Raffaella Erenze.
non è
Do you think
soltanto un'attività culturale, è un viaggio.
it's not just a cultural activity, it's a journey
Torno alle origini,
back in time to the
alla
origins
saggezza delle piante, agli unguenti fatti in casa,
of the ointments made in homes,
che accompagnavano la vita delle donne.
the traditions of women in their homes,
Un legame profondo con la terra,
with these ties to the land,
semplici, profondi.
and with small, simple gestures that are very profound.
Onorati oggi di avere con noi la
We're
professoressa
honored to have me here.
Cassandra Quave, di
Thank
fama
you.
internazionale.
Thank you. Grazie.
Vi saluta e conoscitrice del potere terapeutico delle piante. La
Expert.
ringraziamo.
Thank you. Expert in
La
human health
presenza
and
dà un
plants.
respiro a questo progetto e
My presence gives this project a special breath
ricerca scientifica
of
alla
scientific
vita
research and of the knowledge of local peoples,
cultura,
of medicine and culture,
la partecipazione.
observation and participation.
Dire che la tradizione e l'innovazione non sono camminare insieme.
See, that the traditions and modern medicine are not
Ed è un
opposed,
momento
but can work
particolare questo
together.
per me, perché vorrei ringraziare la sindaca
We have to really thank our mayor, the mayor, Piero La Pompa,
creduto fortemente in questo progetto fin dall'inizio.
who has believed in these projects from the beginning.
La sua visione,
Her
la
vision,
sua sensibilità,
her sensibility,
il suo forte entusiasmo,
her strong enthusiasms,
la sua sensibilità verso il territorio
her sensibility and care for the
fondamentali
territory are fundamental to these efforts.
possibile. E siete molto fortunate.
And we're very fortunate
Grazie
to have
anche
her.
all'amministrazione comunale,
Thank you to the administration of the local community
a chi ha lavorato dietro le quinte.
who has worked behind the scenes.
Enza, Rosanna,
Enza, Rosanna, Claudio,
Raffaele, Giuliano,
Raffaele, Giuliano,
ha curato ogni dettaglio.
who have taken care of every detail with passion and with care.
Infine a tutte le donne
And
che partecipano, che ascoltano,
we,
che condividono.
we thank all the women that have come today to participate and share this knowledge. Because this project doesn't make sense without the participation of the local women. The Roots of Beauty is not simply the title of a workshop. We have the church bells that are making a lot of noise. It creates a nice atmosphere. Okay, well, church bells are going for some time. This is also part of the story. It's a moment. Okay, almost done. We can continue now. She's saying that this Roots of Beauty is not simply the name of a workshop, but is a starting point for a much longer journey involving many different workshops celebrating local heritage.
Percorso di questi lavoratori ed è
And this,
riscoprire
and
le
this
nostre
course
radici.
is fundamental for understanding our origins,
Le nostre radici, no? Proprio radici.
valuing our histories, and understanding
Anche
beauty,
fare tutto questo in nuova consapevolezza.
and to learn new things and share
Nuove
knowledge,
connessioni, in
new
nuove
connections with each
opportunità.
other, and new opportunities.
Buon laboratorio
Good. I hope you have a great
a
workshop
tutte e a tutti e
to
che questo
everyone.
sia l'inizio di un
And
cammino condiviso.
she hopes this will be the beginning of a really beautiful journey.
Lascio la parola
To leave the word now
alla sindaca.
to our wonderful mayor, Fiora La Pompa.
Ovviamente io ringrazio voi.
Obviously, she thanks them and the engineers that have assisted in this process.
Ringrazio anche l'ufficio
She thanks the technical office for their support as well.
per metterlo in atto, ovviamente, il GAL
And she thanks the Gale that helped to finance this
che
and
hanno creduto.
everyone who believed in this idea and this project. And we're here to
Sono loro che hanno partecipato.
we thank the participants because without the participants, we wouldn't have a workshop.
Quindi ringrazio Raffaella
She thanks Rafaela and Lucia, and she thanks me for being here.
che ho voluto partecipare a questa nostra serata.
Thank you.
Siamo stati ovviamente felici.
We're very happy to have everyone here today.
Allungarci perché abbiamo
Sì.
detto tutto, iniziamo con la
Okay, now let's begin the workshop. Fantastic. Okay, wonderful. Allora, tu parli o te lo dico?
io parlo un po' in generale,
Sì.
dopo conduco.
Fantastico. Okay. Good evening and welcome, everyone.
Prevalentemente donne.
Thank you, because we're mostly women in the audience, so there are some men. You're also welcome.
Molte di voi hanno già partecipato ad altri.
Many of you have participated in other encounters from last year.
Abbiamo affrontato i temi.
We've looked at the arborish herbs.
Lavoro
Thanks to the work that I did, Cassandra did
20 anni fa.
20 years ago.
Eh?
Yes,
Ok.
to record these traditions.
Presente.
I'll take a moment to introduce herself.
Cassandra quando ci fu l'inaugurazione.
We met many years ago with the inauguration of the botanical garden here in
Io
Ginestra.
avevo ancora 20 anni.
She didn't have 20 years back then.
Dopo il suo incontro con lei, Pironi,
After seeing this garden with me and Professor Andrea Pieroni, she decided to study herbs and pharmacy.
Quindi questo legame
So her story, her journey in learning about herbs really began here in Ginestra as well, in the botanical garden.
quindi io sono veramente
She's very happy to be here because of this story.
sono state erenze come dicevo prima.
She is from Melfi, which is a nearby town. She works in the studies of scientific study of herbs.
Produco erbe officine.
She also produces medicinal plants. She grows them.
Tra I diversi progetti che siamo riusciti a mettere, abbiamo appena fatto partire
Of the many projects that she's involved in,
trasformazione
she also began a new project to transform medicinal plants
attraverso un progetto sociale,
with a social project
creare sia tisane e spezie
to create spices, tisanes, different types of herbal tinctures, and different ointments for the skin.
donne vittime di violenza e con
She helps women who are victims of violence and young girls with these
iniziamo il
projects.
nostro laboratorio.
And now we'll begin the project. Is going to explain the rationale behind the workshop.
Lavoro con Fiorella di tutti questi anni.
I've been working with the mayor, with Fiorella, for a long time.
Progetto sociale che toccherà
This is part of a larger social project to study and conserve these traditions.
allora, come sempre, scusate, ma
Sì,
non troppo.
sì, vai.
Ok.
Sì,
Allora, come sempre,
continue.
io cerco di
As always, she hopes to interact with everyone.
e quindi niente, iniziamo
So she'd like to begin
insieme riguardo alle erbe che conosciamo.
looking at some of the herbs that they may recognize and know. The other workshop, they created tisanes,
Abbiamo parlato di erbe.
and she also looked at herbs linked to beauty.
La nostra idea di oggi, appunto, è
The
stata
idea for today's workshop
pensare e a loro di
is to think about the use of herbs in cosmetics and traditional cosmetics.
Comunque venivano utilizzate per curare.
But these herbs may be used today for cosmetic uses, also had medicinal pharmacological uses in the past.
Ci prenderemo in considerazione alcune piante.
We'll look at a few important plants that have also been reported in the book that I wrote.
Diciamo, la parte tradizionale e la
We're going to examine the relationship between the historic traditional uses and modern uses today in modern medicine and cosmetics.
approfitto per introdurre, diciamo, una pianta che non ho qui,
sì.
Cassano, perché non ho avuto modo di
She's going to start by speaking about an herb that she didn't have a chance to collect, but is one that's very important. Quale? Ipocastano. This is Aesculus hippocastanum. It is the horse chestnut plant. She doesn't have it with us on the table, but this is a plant that you can find locally and has a long history of use locally.
Allora, nel libro di Cassandra, come no, ci sono
In Cassandra's, in my book, there's explanation of these different herbs written both in Italian and in English with the arborish names,
ti riportano le informazioni che ha ricevuto
where I describe the knowledge that I recorded from local elders.
considerazione che probabilmente qui no, che evidentemente la incontriamo lungo le strade di montagna.
You find this herb, this plant, not here in Ginestra proper, but not far away in the mountain of Mount Volta. It's a dormant volcano where you can find this plant.
Perché sorprendente?
From this research,
L'ippocassano,
is also called the Indian castagna or even the American castagna, but it's not castagna. It's actually a Aesculus species. It had a use in the arborish.
veniva utilizzato per morroni.
It was used really to help with hemorrhoids topically. Also, it has popular use. I'm adding this part myself. Also, popular use to help with varicose veins and kind of vascular insufficiency disorders. You can find actually cosmetic productions or topical productions of this plant in many different topical ointments for venous insufficiency disorders like varicose veins or kind of swelling of the legs because of or venous functionality.
Il frutto veniva messo a macerare in
The,
alcol.
the fruit used to be also macerated in alcohol and then used as an extract and then used to rub onto the feet as a kind of massage.
E le
Uh,
venivano utilizzate per fare un
The bark and the leaves were also used, though, to make a kind of ointment to add topically for hemorrhoids.
Cassandra, si parla di unguenti. Sì, facevano gli unguenti prima.
How did you make these ointments in the past? You made it with the strutto, which is a kind of fat of the pig. So it's pork fat, is how they would make these ointments from involving kind of plant materials and plant extracts.
Utilizzato per
And then you would add this to the skin and then massage the area that's inflamed, especially again regarding these kind of venous insufficiency disorders, where again hemorrhoids are also implicated here, but also the lower limbs when they get swollen and are painful from poor venous function.
Allora, quindi cosa sono gli unguenti?
So, what are unguenti? What are ointments?
Non si dice la signora. Più
Does no one use ointments anymore? Anyone use fat kind of ointments any longer? No? Everyone uses today. Everyone's nodding because yes, today they use more of the pharmaceutical preparations of ointments, but in the past this was very common. What she can tell you from a pharmaceutical and herbalist perspective.
diciamo attraverso anche che poi rientrano all'interno delle preparazioni. Oggi
Today these are very useful.
all'interno della comunità oggi
They're especially used by herbalists who knows how to make these types of preparations. Or a pharmacist can also, compounding pharmacists can also make these preparations with fat.
l'utilizzo casalingo era già poco.
The historic use among homes has disappeared over time, but these were still very important. Even I'm thinking, just to add my own notes here, these were still very common even 24 years ago when I first conducted interviews, but have been replaced largely by pharmaceutical preparations.
Aiuto e anche a volte la guarigione di
This was used to help heal different types of
Uno ricorda l'unguento
of skin injuries. Does anyone remember examples of the ointments that were also described in the book?
il grasso di maiale.
No one remembers things. She says,
So,
she remembers some use of the pig fat, but it's a very long time ago.
casa,
She remembers making soap from pig fat, but does not remember making medicines from pig fat with her parents.
la mia bisnonna anzi che preparava
But making the soap in the past from pig fat was once very common.
e poi
Yeah. But today, a lot of the soaps are made through other means
laboratorio.
in laboratories. But they originated from a culture of rendering soaps from fats. And we apologize, there's more of the church bells. It's a beautiful piazzetta, but we do have the church bells here. While this is running, I'm just going to take a look at the camera to see if there's any questions to make sure you're all able to hear everything still. Yes, I'm just going to check if there's any messages. No, we're all there. Okay, great. Okay, we're going to keep going after this bells are done. Just patience. Va bene. Okay. So we have here some macaroni. Okay. Calling everyone to church today, although we don't have church today. Okay. Okay. Interesting. Just one more moment. This is ibérico. See? Okay. Okay. Okay, it's ending now, so she can recommence. Okay. 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 Now the bells are finishing. We can start back. So let's go back. And we're talking about the pomate, or the kind of ointments and skin preparations.
Li troviamo diciamo tra
We can find pharmaceutical preparation of ointments
delle preparazioni a base grassa.
that are always on the basis of fats, whether it's animal fat or plant-based fat. Fat's critical to this preparation.
Nelle case contadine, diciamo che
In the home, historically, this fat base was always kind of a pork fat,
presente sempre nelle
because it was present in the homes, because people had and grew their own swine. And
all'interno appunto non c'è acqua, c'è l'assenza
ointment without water does not anhydrate,
di conservanti, si ottengono le creme che poi sono
would not have water.
gli effetti che usiamo oggi, dipendono
A typical kind of unguento or ointment is going to be more yellow in base because of the fat. It's the fat that gives it that color.
ma c'è una componente che serve
But there's also another component that helps to make it more solid, and that would be
componenti chimiche.
you also need some other components to make it more solid.
Tiene
Yep. With soda, you can get you can take a fat and make it more solid.
Questo riguarda l'unguento.
For an ointment, she's going to grab something
Se lo trovo, eccolo qui.
with an ointment instead. She's going to show a simple preparation of the ointment. This is pretty light in color.
All'interno ci sono anche altre sostanze, però
Inside there's
può essere anche
other substances, but it's
già dato da diciamo l'elemento solido che
the
permette
the yellow
solidificare
component to solidify the fat
l'olio,
is oil.
ok? La cera da
So this is actually beeswax. So it's beeswax that also confers a more of a yellow color to a lot of the ointment preparations.
Io ho portato
She's brought different types of beeswax to help you understand the different reactions.
pulita. Ok, quindi adesso se volete
She wants, we can pass this around.
pettino,
She'll show you this little chest.
quindi
This is from beeswax. Let's show you here on the video, and we'll pass it around so everyone can see it. Puoi passare?
sì. Purificata, si fa un primo passaggio
If you clean the wax a bit, it makes a first pass, and you get rid of some of the dirty part. The cos'è questo sporco?
propoli
Propolis and
residui.
other residuals from the wax. When it's a little bit clean, you can see it kind of looks like this. This is after kind of a first pass of cleaning. And then after you clean it up some more, this is the beeswax that's been
Questo è il panetto in purezza.
this is its more pure format of the beeswax. You can see this here. And this is what we use when we make our different ointments. You can also smell it to kind of get a sensation of how it smells. And they're passing that around to everyone to be able to feel the oil instead, she's saying.
L'olio invece è la trasferire i principi attivi.
So the oil is really important for transferring the active principles coming from the plant materials into the ointment. So it's kind of how we move the chemicals from the plant into the ointment. It's that base where the active principles go.
Quindi la prima
The first thing we do is we're going to macerate the plants into an oil to extract the different active components. And here she has some examples. And questo è più pesante, attenzione. Questo è di iperico. Iperico. Okay, so this is an example of helichrysum. It's in an oil base. You can kind of see that. And this one here is darker. This is actually Hypericum perforatum that has this red color. So it's exposed in this oil. We'll talk more about that in a bit because we've done a lot of chemical work on that plant.
quindi dall'unione dell'olio
So the union of the oil where we've extracted the plant materials into the oil combined with the beeswax is what gives it that solidified form.
si chiama okay.
So this is called an oleolite. When you extract the plant materials, the active plant materials
Principi attivi
into the oil. So then you can actually remove the plant materials after. This is Hypericum after you remove the flowers. You see it's just the colored oil. And in this colored oil, we have the active compounds. This can then be treated combined with the beeswax to make more of a solid preparation for rubbing onto the skin. So after a period of maceration, you then have a resulting oil that has the active ingredients.
che è una pianta che cresce
This is a
vulture.
This is a plant called Helichrysum italicum that you find in Mont Volturé, which again is a dormant volcano that is kind of located that way. This is Helichrysum, has a beautiful smell. This is also found in other parts of the Mediterranean, but grows here. Lo passo per annusare, se volete annusare. It has a beautiful smell. Helichrysum.
Un mazzetto di elicriso. Uno di olivo. E ho portato
She's also brought some herbarium specimens that she's created from these as well, just like we have in the Emory Herbarium, where you collect and press these plants. Maybe I'll bring it closer so you can see for a second. So here we have these are the herbarium specimens of Helichrysum, and this is a way of recording the information for each plant species that they're using here medicinally.
che oggi ovviamente è stampato, però per l'Università di Napoli a volte mi fermo le tavole.
These are some of the works that she did when she was studying.
Qui non ce l'abbiamo, ok. Poi ci sono altre piante.
Because there's not Helichrysum there, but there's other plants there. So we have
Allora.
Achillea. Sorry, I pointed out a different plant before when I was looking at it. So it was Achillea is there, not Helichrysum.
Se fate girare il mazzetto, hanno usato il profumo.
Helichrysum is a plant that we didn't really find in our early studies of it being used locally in Ginestra. But it is a plant that's used in the region and in other villages, other communities in this region.
Diciamo nell'areale del Folgore. Per curare ferite e quindi per la pelle.
It's been used to help heal wounds, also topically for the skin.
Per curare la tosse. E
Also for the cough. Also used to treat coughs as well.
quindi tradizionalmente gli anziani
So historically, they would make like an infusion or a kind of tea of Helichrysum.
Menolito, estrazione
They could also make an extract of this, actually putting it into the wine. So,
fiori di
you could take the flowers, put it into wine to make an extract to use as a medicine, or you could make a tea and water to drink, or it was used in oil to make this kind of skin ointment.
diciamo quindi nella cura di catarro e tosse.
So you would use as a tea, really, or as an oral application for coughs.
Fitoterapia, quindi se andiamo a prendere la
We speak about the scientific background of this plant.
cognosia, diciamo che ci riporta che la droga è data appunto
It's been noted that the active components are indeed from the flowers of this plant.
per allergie, per riniti,
important for kind of respiratory ailment,
catarro, quindi
for helping to
apparato respiratorio.
with respiratory problems, catarrh.
In tisana si trova anche con altre erbe.
You might also find it mixed with other ingredients to make a tea, drunk in the winter to help with upper respiratory inflammations.
Come uso esterno, e quindi uso
As a
topico,
topical use instead.
il riso è una pianta che viene per le allergie.
It's a plant used to treat kind
La
of.
mia esperienza quando lavoravo a Firenze in laboratorio producevamo molto.
When she worked in Florence, in the herbalist studio, made a lot of preparations of this as a topical agent to give to children with allergies. It would help to reduce some of the inflammation of the skin resulting from some of these inflammations or some of these allergic inflammations. Tonight, maybe we'll try to make a nice ointment from this plant as well.
Nel frattempo passiamo avanti. Se avete domande.
Do you have any questions or you want to share anything from your knowledge of the use? Please share. You can also ask or share. Okay.
Allora. L'ho portato fresco.
This is a flower of liso, which I think is not used in this community. At least I don't recall it being used. Centaurea chanus. Okay. This is a Centaurea species, sinus species, beautiful purple. It's called fior di liso. It was not used in Ginestra in the past. But
nel nostro areale veniva chiamato
it was also called historically o fiore di grano, which is like the flower of the wheat. It was found as an infestation plant in the grain field. It has these blue flowers. When the fields were cultivated in a natural way, you would find this flower along with corn poppy and other kind of wildflowers.
Quando non trattano, diciamo, le coltivazioni di grano.
In the past, when they didn't use herbicides on the grain, this was very common. Sometimes you can still find it in areas. This is an example of the fresh plant. I'll bring it up closer so you can see it. There we go. I'm just checking for any questions here too. No. And if you guys want to post questions, those of you on the live stream, I'll try and get to them whenever I come back to check the phone here. Has anyone ever used this as a cream? She's asking. No one knows this, but again, this was not used historically in Ginestra. Yeah. Some of them recognize it from like Swiss pharmaceutical preparations.
Solitamente viene utilizzato.
Today it's used in cosmetic preparations, but we don't have traditional records of this in Ginestra.
Diciamo, a curare gli occhi.
It's used today to help with the eyes.
Fiordaliso, l'estratto di fiordaliso viene utilizzato solitamente per il contorno occhi.
Used as kind of a medicine around the eyes to help reduce some of the wrinkles around your eyes is how it's used today in cosmetic preparations. But there's not a traditional use here.
Perché viene utilizzata in cosmetica per la bellezza della donna.
It's used more for women's beauty products to help reduce wrinkles around the eyes.
Ok, allora passiamo avanti.
Parliamo dell'iperico?
Andiamo a parlare dell'iperico?
Sì, così lo spiega un po' la chimica.
Sì,
ok.
Ho portato sia il fresco che il
Benissimo. So now we're going to talk about a really interesting plant. This is Hypericum perforatum, also known as St. John's wort. They also call it Erba San Giovanni. Cacciadiavoli. Also chase away the devil plant. In Arboresh, it was called, era chiamata in Arboresh, erba veracute, mi sembra.
Sì, erba dercut.
Erba dercut.
Sì.
Erba dercut.
Significava erba delle scioltature.
It was erba dercut means herb of the skin burns. So this is what it looks like when it's dried. So this is And then quando viene presa? Più o meno in giugno, sì?
Sì,
Traditionally, it was collected in June around St. John's Day. The national tradition.
La faceva raccogliere il 24 giugno che era la
So the tradition was to collect it on the night or the day of Saint John, which is why it's called Saint John's Wort. Just everyone would collect in that period in June, which shows how kind of religion and calendars are tied to herbs. Allora, spiega un po' questo.
Sì.
L'hai messa anche sotto sole per
Sì,
fare.
sì,
Allora,
sì. Ora
spieghiamo
spieghiamo
qua
tutto.
poi c'è una
Sì.
chimica che
Sì.
posso spiegare. Ok.
Allora, vi spieghiamo
Now we're going to explain the use, traditional use.
che viene utilizzato ovviamente anche nel panisserie.
We're going to talk about the use of the oil of hypericum.
Allora, l'iperico tradizionalmente da noi
The oil,
dei cavalli,
sì.
e quindi prevalentemente dei cani.
Sì. Here in Genestra, the oil of this plant was actually used more for ethnoveterinary medicine. So we were able to document how they would put it onto, for example, a horse or a donkey's whose legs were injured or inflamed. You would massage the animal with this oil as a kind of wound treatment, wound healing treatment for livestock. Because remember, agriculture was largely manual, and if your animals are sick, if your livestock are sick, to help you do this work, it can really damage your ability to or impede your ability to cultivate your field. So it was very important to keep your animals healthy.
E inoltre, appunto, come abbiamo detto, l'iperico
So in our branch, it was called Herbadederkoets, which translates to kind of the herb for burns, because this is very important for treating burn injuries.
le scottature, le ustioni,
And ostioni. Cos'è ostioni?
bruciature di sole.
Burns. It's like or sunburns. So it's both
Okay.
physical like heat burns and also sunburns.
Okay. Vi spieghiamo la preparazione più prodotti.
This is probably one of the most common, most important, and popular oils made with among just general households, not just in Italy, but also really throughout the Mediterranean. Lo aggiungo qualcosa pure. Io e Andrea, se voi ricordate di Andrea Pieroni, siamo stati anche in Albania, dove questa è un'erba molto diffusa che è usata da tutti in maniere simili, sia per gli animali, ma anche per la pelle, così se c'è una scottatura o c'è una ferita, si mette questo olio. E c'è una cosa molto importante di questo olio che è speciale, la maniera in cui si prepara, perché dentro la pianta c'è anche un problema, c'è questa fresca. Allora, quando si raccoglie questa pianta, si mette i parti di infiorita dentro l'olio e li lasci, almeno in Albania si fa 90 giorni o 40 giorni, scusami, 40 giorni sotto sole e con tempo diventa rosso. Hai capito? Che l'olio cambia. Momento che traducono in inglese, poi continua. So I'm going to translate really quick in English. I'm explaining to them in Albania, they also make this oil. You take the fresh flowers, you put it into the oil. After 40 days in the sunlight, it transforms into this bright red color. And there's a very special chemical reaction that occurs when this happens. So this is a good case of where traditional medicine and traditional kind of chemistry really determines the pharmacological properties of the plant. Allora, dopo che sta questa pianta, c'è di due componenti molto importanti, che è uno che si chiama hypericin e uno che si chiama hyperforin. Allora, hypericin si può fare di alcuni problemi. Se tu bevi, per esempio, un tisano di questo, che sarà ricco di hypericin, e vai sotto sole, puoi prendere un bruciatore del sole e una reazione molto rossa alla pelle che ti fa male. Però quando si prepara dentro questo olio, abbiamo studiato nel mio laboratorio in Stati Uniti che la trasformazione toglie questo componente tossico, fototossico, e invece rimane soltanto quella componente che ti guarisce la pelle. Allora la tradizione, diciamo, di casalinghe di preparare questo in olio è una tradizione molto importante per la chimica della medicina e anche la farmacologia, perché si toglie la parte male e rimane solo i componenti che ti guariscono. So I was explaining that there is a compound found in this plant that it's called hypericin. It's photoreactive. So if you take a tea of this plant, or a tincture that's rich in this molecule, and you're exposed to the sun, you can get a really severe photodermatitis. So really bad sunburns. But the traditional means of preparing it in this oil base, we completed studies on this, and I'll share the link to the paper in the final post for this live stream. We found that you actually degrade the toxic component, the hypericin, while maintaining the hyperipherin, which gives us some of that wound healing antimicrobial properties. So this really shows how traditional knowledge of the preparation of the plant can really impact its final pharmacology in a good way.
Okay. Allora, riprendiamo a parlare della pianta. All'interno dei petali e anche delle foglie ci sono
She's going to explain that inside the leaves and inside the flowers, they have these little sacs of oil, these red oils.
l'olio che contiene il fitocomplesso.
These oils have the phytocomplex properties that we use for the medicine
Le scottature.
to help treat the burns.
All'interno c'è ipericina,
There's hypericin and hyperipherin
che sono
that are important to the medicine.
dico che poi anche insieme ai flavonoidi.
Of course, there are other flavonoids and other phytocomponents as well. And it creates this kind of synergistic effect that is anti-inflammatory and wound healing. And this has been demonstrated, by the way, in many different animal studies. È stata mostrata anche in tanti studi sugli animali con le ferite che veramente funziona bene. Sì.
Quest'olio viene perico
The use of hypericum
all'olio.
is
Dobbiamo
very,
ricordare
very
anche
popular.
che il principio attivo dell'iperico
So in popular traditions, it's used more as an oil, but also in pharmaceutical traditions or in pharmacies, you can find also preparations used to treat depression.
ovviamente degradano i neurotrasmettitori che provocano poi le depressioni lievi.
They're used in pharmacy to help
con i pericina e i perforina titolati per
to help with this
gestire le
antidepressant effect.
depressioni.
But again, you have to be careful of the possible
Questa
phototoxicities.
è una delle poche piante che
It's one of the few plants
prescrizione
that's also used as a medical prescription.
farmaci a base di
Needs to be signed by the physician here in Italy to prescribe this plant if you're taking it for depression.
L'unica pianta che interagisce con tutti i farmaci.
It's because you also have some risks here for herb drug interactions, basically meaning that this can also lead to, if you're taking certain medications, you have to avoid taking hypericum with certain medications. So this is a reason why you need to have a physician's consultation when taking hypericum as a tea or as a tincture, this kind of oral formulation. This is not required for the topical formulations.
Nella tradizione popolare,
In the popular tradition,
in droga in farmacopea, quindi nel libro diciamo
this is the oil that she made, an extract of hypericum flowers.
Poi provare a creare insieme.
And we're going to make a nice ointment from this.
Come diceva Cassandra,
The extraction is very particular
vengono raccolti i fiori.
because you collect the flowers near the end of June, beginning of July, around St. John's Day. Depends on when it's in flower, on where elevation and things that you're
Ad
at.
esempio, io ho raccolto quest'anno a metà giugno.
She collected this year in mid-June
Qui
when it was in flower
Vultura.
on the mountain, on Mount Volture.
Siccome tornavo
And then just a few days ago, she was in Polino and she found at 1,500 meters above sea level, she found some more hypericum still fresh at higher elevations. It was in full flower. And you can see that when she touches it with her finger, there's a red residue. That's from those oil sacs on the plants. Above 1,000 meters above sea level, you can still find it right now in Italy. So in these days, you have the most production of that active compounds you find in those red sacs on the plant.
Cosa si fa? Si raccolgono questi raggruppamenti di fiori.
So you collect the flowers and the leaves.
Le cime.
You take the tops of the flowers.
Ok. E si porta poi ad mettere in infusione.
Then you put it in a very good olive oil, which of course qui c'è il migliore olio d'oliva nel mondo, devo dire. Allora, here you have the best olive oil in the world, so they have plenty of oil to make their ointments.
Gli oli sono molto importanti, diciamo.
The quality of the oil is so important to the production of your ointments.
Le zone, o comunque.
Also, depending on the recipe, depending on the type of herb, you may use different oils.
Uno degli esempi appunto è utilizzare un olio più leggero di mandorla che non ha profumazione intensa, diciamo.
In some cases, you may want to use like an almond oil that's less intense in odor, aroma.
A fare tutti gli estratti oleosi con olio extravergine.
But here we use really the basis of extra virgin olive oil.
Proprietà dei polifenoli che sono contenuti.
There are also a lot of health benefits from the olive oil itself.
Di polifenoli, di antiossidanti.
It's so rich in antioxidants and polyphenols.
E quindi cosa facciamo? Raccolti.
What do? We collect the fresh flowers.
Si ricopre il barattolo.
We cut just the tops.
Abbiamo messo i fiori con dell'olio.
You covered all the flowers with extra virgin olive oil. Però sono freschi, non secchi, freschi. Very important, the flowers must be fresh, so this is done in June, right after collecting them. As soon as you collect them during the day, bring them home, cover them in olive oil. And then you right away put them in olive oil.
All'interno di un barattolo di vetro.
It's important that you put it in a transparent glass container.
Perché noi avremo bisogno poi per mettere all'olio.
But to extract the most of the active principles, you must put it in the sun, and that helps to advance the chemical extraction of the active principles into this extra virgin olive oil.
Si pone non con un barattolo.
So you don't want to cover it in plastic as she is here. Instead, when it's prepared, she covers it with just a kind of kitchen cloth because it's important for it to breathe.
E si lascia macerare sotto.
And you leave it to macerate under the sun.
Secondo le ricette, diciamo,
at a minimum for 20 days, you need to leave it in the sun, but it's often quite longer. Even a month under the sun is really the best extraction. In Albania, they use 40 days as their rule, but I would say between 20 and 40 days.
Sì.
20 e 40 giorni.
Sì. Cosa succede?
What happens after 40 days?
Che l'olio che abbiamo visto sul mio dito.
The oil that we saw, that was those red sacs on the plant.
Di queste, diciamo,
they come out of the plant and go into the olive oil. And this gives the olive oil its red color. So this deep red color comes from that active principles being extracted. When the extraction is terminated, when it's done,
tutti gli estratti.
Then once you're done with this extraction process, it's important to filter this out and put it into a dark glass container for long-term storage. So something like a brown glass. This is where you would store the final treatment.
Ora, dopo la filtrazione, o in un vetro scuro, o altrimenti in un vetro e chiuso.
Or if you don't have a dark vase, or a dark container, glass container, you can also put it into a clear glass container, but store it somewhere in a cool, dark place in your home.
Quindi ripeto la preparazione.
He's going to repeat the preparation. collect the
in piena
flowers
fioritura,
when they're fully in flower,
ecco, con le foglie, quindi la sommità fiorita,
just the part on top.
viene inserita all'interno di un barattolo, okay, ricoperto con che non assorbirebbe umidità. Quindi
So she's also
è una
noting that
funzione, diciamo,
the process is you collect the flowers when they're in full flower mid-June, take the tops, put them under the olive oil in glass with a cloth on top, leave it under the sun. But important, she didn't note this before, but you want to take the container back in at night so you don't get humidity collecting at night. So every day you put it out, bring it back in the morning, bring it back out for 20 to 40 days until it turns bright red. Poi è filtrato,
poi viene filtrato.
and then it comes filtered and then transferred into either
Conservato
a dark kind of brown glass container or in a clear container but kept in the dark.
Quindi
It's very important for burns of the skin. This is one of its most important uses. She has an example here
olio di frittura,
when she was burned by frying oil in the
Quindi-
kitchen and she used the hypericum oil to heal it.
olio di perico con una garza.
She used this oil of hypericum and she covered it with gauze and it healed her wound.
Ho ottenuto, diciamo, la scottatura ovviamente c'è
She didn't feel any pain.
che si creano subitamente sulla pelle.
She also uses this to help heal sunburns if she was at the beach too long and didn't have, didn't have sun protection and gets burned. She can also use it for that
Bisogna
purpose.
abituarsi ovviamente all'odore.
It does have a very strong odor, so it's, doesn't necessarily smell nice, but it's very effective.
Ehm,
See? No, secondo te? So one of the participants said that the oil of this smells a lot like the oil of sausages, and that's why his wife doesn't like to use it. I don't know. It's the truth. It has a smell.
Con l'olio di perico possiamo appunto
With this oil, we can make a nice ointment,
possiamo sciogliere della cera con l'olio
and we
per
can
ottenere questo
melt the wax with the oil and make
ti
this
può
kind of
aiutare
cream
sia nello spazio
to put onto the skin. And you can even, if you'd like, perfume it. So, quale tipi di magari oli essenziali puoi mettere per profumare?
Io aggiungo la lavanda essendo lenitiva.
Sì.
Okay.
Okay, so to help with this odor, that it does have a bit of an odor, she can also add sometimes essential oils like lavender to help mask the odor of the oil, and this makes it smell better.
Eccola qui.
Yeah,
Ora
this is
metto un po'
lavender.
la-
Fresh lavender. So use this. So you can take essential oils of lavender and also. Ma non li metti mai la lavanda dentro quando fai estrazione d'olio? No.
No.
L'olio essenziale.
Olio essenziale per profumazione.
Yeah, you just take a little bit of the essential oil and then add it as non so quanto.
Sai, per piccole quantità.
Just a little bit, just to give it a little bit of an odor to make it smell a little bit better.
Quindi andiamo a coprire l'odore
Volete lavanda? Calmante, sì. So
aggiungersi come
this trick of adding a bit of lavender essential oil is not just to help mask the odor, but as we all know, lavender has a nice calming effect. So it also has a bit of aromatherapy effects that can be good.
Prima di passare alla preparazione.
Before we move on to making the ointments, we're going to speak very quickly about a few other plants used in cosmetic applications.
Una
This one that she's going to speak about now is Calendula officinalis, also known commonly in English as marigold.
Allora, Calendula officinalis, chi la tiene in giardino?
Okay. And she says she's asking, does anyone have it in their garden? Some people say they have it in the countryside.
Allora avevamo stabilito questa data.
And
E
she had
quindi
hoped to bring more fresh plants to today's workshop. She picked this date, but as we all know, we had a horrific heat wave, and so a lot of the herbs are kind of dried up.
quindi sono riuscita a raccogliere
So
poco.
she was only able to collect a little bit of calendula before it got overheated.
Questa è un'infiorescenza di è un fiore di
Calendula flowers,
okay.
the little flowers of calendula.
Ma solitamente sappiamo che
Usually they're quite large, but these are just little flowering heads
questo
of
è uno
calendula.
sono quei pochi fiori che si sono salvati dal caldo dei giorni. Quindi
Beh, fatto vedere. These are like the little ones. Usually these are much larger, but she was able to save these before the heat took them. Lo passo?
Sì.
E se volete vedere.
Anche annusate se non lo conoscete.
È pizzicante pure. Sì. It has a bit of a stickiness to the flower.
Contiene flavonoidi.
It has flavonoids.
Anche questa pianta.
Also wound healing, anti-inflammatory, very good for the skin.
Utilizzata in cosmesi per la cura della pelle.
Also used, yeah. Posso dire un'altra cosa? Perché ci sono anche tanti interessi nelle tradizioni albanesi. Si usa anche in Albania come per trattare di inverno, fanno una pomata con lardo, con la, come si
Sì,
sugna,
la sugna, sì.
la sugna.
Lardo.
Si fa, quando c'è i mani che si spaccano durante l'inverno e mettono questa crema che è in base dalla calendula con la sugna, è molto utile per aiutare quando si secca troppo le mani. So I was explaining
I geloni.
e per i geloni che saranno
Sì, per il
sì,
raffreddamento
for the cold
piedi.
kind of the cold injuries to the skin during the winter. So you use this plant in Albania. They also use it based in kind of a pig fat, and you rub it on the skin to help treat chapped skin during the winter time.
Sulle ferite.
Yeah. Also for wounds.
Ok, e poi millefolium.
The last one she wants to show us is Achillea millefolium, also known as yarrow. This is a member of the daisy family and is well known for its activities at cicatrizante or wound healing, also helping to stop bleeding. So it's an important anti-bleeding plant. You also collect this plant during June.
Questa
But this year it flowered before Hypericum.
si incontra lungo le strade.
You find it all along the streets. You can see it everywhere. You see it along like just the kind of the zones along the small roadways.
Allora, questa viene chiamata anche
In Voltere you called it, Stagna Sangue.
sì, vero?
Sì,
Ok.
yeah. Non c'è nome arboreshvero.
Ok.
There's no arbresh
Ok.
name, but it's called Stagna Sangue means stop the bleed,
Ok.
stop the blood.
Perché
Hemostatic.
uscita di sangue dalle ferite.
It's a hemostatic agent. If you're cut, it stops the bleeding.
A Melfi, ad esempio, viene chiamata anche l'erba du marchese.
Okay.
Perché va a intervenire.
In Melfi, in the town where she grew up, it's called the erba di Marchese, which is like a herb of the menstrual cycle. It helps with some of the pain of the menstrual cycle.
Dolore anche per sfiammare un po', diciamo, l'infiammazione.
Anti-inflammation during the menstrual cycle.
Invece, ecco, l'utilizzo a livello cutaneo, quindi alla pelle, è prevalentemente legato
Very useful for hemorrhoids. You can find this also in pharmacies. Uh-huh. Unless you make an ointment to help treat hemorrhoids. Yeah, to help with the swelling and pain. This was also used historically here for the pain or for the skin.
È presente per, diciamo.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Allora,
So,
abbiamo detto un po' tutto.
see, now we're going to get to making the ointments. Sit-
Avete è stato un po' difficile,
sì.
immagino dobbiamo
E adesso facciamo le unguente, sì?
Ora proviamo sì a fare un po' effettivamente.
Do you have any questions before? And I'll ask also here if anyone has any questions that's joining us online. I can try and answer them while we get the I see John Paul just asked about what herb are we talking. We were just talking about Achillea millefolium just a moment ago. And now we're asking questions from the audience, but you guys send me your questions too. I'll try and address them before we get to making the ointments. Oh, so he asked about some. Allora, Sale, parliamo un po' di questo. So one of the guests was asking about the bottom. She put some big salt particles, and he's asking why is this salt there? Perché si è messa sale lì
Per
sotto?
assorbire l'umidità.
So she adds salt to the base of the glass jar to help absorb the humidity or the water from the fresh plant. So that's one ingredient we didn't touch on beforehand. Okay. I don't see other questions from others. Let's see. I'm just checking. Okay, now we're gonna go ahead and start moving toward making the remedies. Okay. Okay. C'è la c'è la corda per sì, mettiamo la corrente. So we're just gonna get the electricity set up so we can heat these wax and mix the oils together.
Nella zona di potenza mi sono portata questo.
Yes, now it's getting a little bit chilly. We want to go ahead and get to moving on making the oils. So we need to. Sì, penso, magari fai la mostra. Sì, sì. So now we're going to make a demonstration of how you can actually take some of these oils and make an ointment. Because we're in too many people, we're going to show you how to do it. She's going to show us. Vuoi mettere davanti, magari? Mettiamo davanti se c'è. Stay arriba, mettiamo davanti, così si vede meglio. We're going to move the table up so that we can show you better how we make the ointments. I'm curious of those of you that are tuning in here online, how many of you have ever made your own herbal skin preparations, any herbal ointments? Anyone have any to share in the comments? You can add it there. Tell me what kind of plants you've used before while we're getting set up. I'd love to hear. Anyone ever make any calendula ointments or St. John's wort? Let's see. Nobody commenting yet. Let's see. Okay, well, we're going to basically the process we're going to do next is we're going to get the electricity set up. We're going to we have just a little portable stove. We're going to take some of the beeswax and melt it. We're going to have it, not too hot, but just enough to melt the beeswax. And then we'll kind of mix in some of our herbal oleolite preparations. So we'll take some of the oil infused herbs, mix it in with that warm beeswax. There's a certain ratio that we're going to use, and Raphael will explain what that ratio is in a minute. And that will make a more solidified form of the plant oil that you can then put into a tin and then use as needed for topical applications. Allora, vuoi che troviamo la tavola qui? Vuoi spostare qualcuno? Sì, sì, we're gonna ask somebody to work. Sì, mettiamo qui o
Avviciniamo voglio farsi restare anche questo, è troppo scomodo ora.
ah, per fare loro lavorare?
Non si alzano, però magari le
Ah,
piccole, non so
sì, non so, volete aiutare?
qualcuno vuole lavorare con noi?
Ecco, lei, okay? Sì, mettiamo magari sai che c'è? Magari ci mettiamo qua, così e spostiamo un po' il tavolo di qua, che we're just gonna move the table a little bit. Ecco. Okay, I'm gonna give the phone back to Marco. It's been really great. You're doing good. Yeah, thanks. Okay, we're gonna move this over. Thank you all for your patience. It's a bit of a thing in motion right now in the workshop, and thank you for joining us from all over for this activity. Okay. Penso che va bene, sì. So she's just going to take a minute to get things warmed up. We have a couple of our basic supplies. You know, it's really not a complicated thing to make these types of topical treatments because you need a source of heat, you need some beeswax, you need a glass container where you can let your herbs sit and infuse in their oil base. Um, but it's really not that challenging for so if any of you are ever curious about trying this, like hopefully after this workshop you'll be able to try it at home and then share maybe about it in the newsletter comments for this post. I will post this whole video as a new post so you can comment and tell me about any of the ones that you're preparing. We'd love to hear about it. Okay. So she's picked all the plants she picked today are to help the skin. I'll go over here.
Scorsa, credo. Aiuta comunque a lenire, diciamo,
So the marigold is great for the skin.
utilizzata sulla pelle.
So also good for after burns and things like that. So what she's doing, she's adding water to this pot. She's going to have
Maria.
bagno Maria, so a kind of a water bath. So you have slower heating of the beeswax
Allora, cosa stiamo facendo? Praticamente
to to melt the oil and the beeswax.
come facciamo anche in alcune preparazioni.
We're gonna make a bagno Maria
In attesa che la
while we're waiting for the water to heat.
ho portato 2 pentolini così se volete. Poi oggi facciamo
He's gonna try and make it here. We're a little bit arranged strangely, so we'll see how well this goes.
diciamo possiamo
We try.
preparazione
We try.
vedremo, ecco.
It's a bit different from doing it at home in our kitchen, yeah.
Allora dobbiamo misurare c'è la Dafi.
So she first has to measure the beeswax. So our skill set, we also have a scale, our water baths, and other little containers. She's got her oil infusion, which again, that took about 40 days to make in the sun. Quanti giorni a fare questo di quest'altra? Che
No, uguali, gli oleoliti vogliono sempre un minimo di 20 giorni.
a minimo e anche al sole? Sì.
È una pianta.
So she also made the helichrysum oil in the sun for at least 20 days.
L'esposizione al sole.
They all need that kind of exposure in the sun to help the oils mature.
Sole, diciamo, nel mese di estrazione.
So we need to measure this beautiful beeswax. E come l'hai preso la cera di api? È locale o?
Sì,
Sì.
diciamo questa qui.
Ho giusto l'hai preso dalla
Mia.
this is her she has her own bees. This is truly like local beeswax that she collected. And then she also has a friend that made her this one, but she collects her own beeswax to use for her herbal preparations. Magari vieni più vicino, Marco, così li fai vedere meglio quello che fa lei. So yeah. Who would like to give a hand? Please come up. We've got some volunteers to help us. Okay, dai, vieni. So we've got 2 volunteers that are going to help us over here. Aqua, come around to the side. And I'll stay closer so we can keep explaining. And she's got these little tins. So this is qui che fine, che alla fine. So this is where where we'll put the final ointment. Will go into these nice little tins. But you can of course use larger tins if you like, or small ones. These are great. These little ones. Okay. And you can see the water starting to get hot. So we want to make sure the water's nice and hot for our bagno Maria, for our water bath. We calculate just for 20 people, but it's great to see there's so many people here, but we'll have some try and make our ointments. The first thing to do is to cut and weigh the wax. So you can come in close to show maybe. So they're going to cut the beeswax. Again, this is locally harvested and then rendered wax that's been cleaned into like a little brick. E quanto riesci che devi usare?
Allora, la ricetta
So this recipe
vuole 14 grammi
is going to take 14 to 15 grams of beeswax.
siamo 80 millilitri di
Okay, so around 40 grams of beeswax to 80 milliliters of your medicinal oil. But again, this oil has to be filtered first. We want to remove any of the remnant flowering parts, and of course, no salts and things to go into it. And she's using the large, they call it sale grosso, or kind of large rock salt, to help remove any kind of water from the extraction of the fresh plant and the preparation. Oh, with a cheesecloth, she's going to take a sterile cheesecloth. Would someone like to help? She's going to filter. Okay, Massimo will help. Yes. And going to put just a little bit of paper underneath so we don't have leakage on the tablecloth. I'm sorry, it wasn't 40 grams, it was 14 grams of beeswax and 80 milliliters of oil. Please make that notation. I gave you the wrong number for it. 14 grams of beeswax to 80.
Un cilindro da laboratorio chimico, ok?
This is a laboratory cylinder to measure the oil.
Ok, dobbiamo raggiungere.
We're going.
Scusa, se incidente il capo, il nodo si messa.
Ah, ho capito. Sì. Sai che c'è, Massimo? Sai, venite di questo lato, così. Ecco. Sì. Vai di là, così lo vedi meglio. So we're just going to switch sides so everyone can see better. Hai fatto bene a dire, non si. Sì. We're gonna move the table a little bit so people can see better. Okay, we're gonna move it just a little bit so they can all see better. Okay, there we go. Bene, bravi. Okay, now we've moved the table so everyone can see. Okay, so what are we doing? We are filtering the oil, and then we're going to measure 80 milliliters of each oil. At the same time, we're going to be cutting up some of the beeswax. We're measuring 14 grams of beeswax. We cut it apart, the beeswax, like it's Parmesan.
La signora ha un genere alimentare, quindi.
Ah, see, okay. Bene. She works with food, so she made it like the format, make the cheese. Closer.
Lo mettiamo in una ciotola di vetro.
She's going to put this glass to let.
Misuriamo gli 80 millilitri di oli e stiamo utilizzando
So she's measuring the oil. Everyone's clapping for Massimo. Who's helping with the preparations. You also use this plant to help treat psoriasis, and so helping with some of these skin problems.
50 millilitri invece di oleolito di perico.
Ah, le mischia le due. Ah, allora stai facendo quanto di...
30
Okay, so she's actually making a blend. I didn't catch that before. So she's making 30 di alicriso, hai detto? 30 di alicriso e 50. So we're making a total oil of 80 milliliters, but he's actually mixing 30 milliliters of the oleolite made from Helichrysum italicum. And then he's adding 50 milliliters of St. John's wort oil to have kind of a blended skin ointment to help for wound healing. Okay, and he's making sure he's got 30 exactly. And if we move over here to the Bagno Maria, we can see that we've weighed out the 14 grams, and you can take a look inside. She's got a wooden stick, and they're going to start melting that beautiful beeswax under the water bath. So she's melting the beeswax. Very good. And then take a look at this, at the mixing of the colors. So now Massimo is mixing the two oils, making this beautiful change in color. Che bello, guarda. See? We have to reach a total of 80, so he's making sure his measures are precise. Having that ratio correct is important to the final consistency of your skin product, of the ointment. Ci vuole un altro po'? Let's see. She's got to add a little bit more. Ok, poi qua fai si scioglie questo adesso, sì. Guarda che scioglie subito. It's starting to really melt easily. You don't want to overheat it, which is why it's nice to do in this kind of water bath. So you want to have this as a gentle preparation, not too overheated. So this is a fun thing you can do with friends. You can do it with multiple people together, if you like. Or you can do it yourself at home. You can even make big batches of this. So if you have a lot of herbs that you're extracting this way, again, this was from fresh St. John's wort and fresh Helichrysum that was extracted into extra virgin olive oil. Now we can see this beautiful mix. We've got 80 milliliters in extra virgin olive oil of these two plants.
Okay, adesso iniziamo a mischiare con...
Now he's going to pour it to mix it. Come on this side. Di qua? Sì. Adesso si mischia insieme con la cera, che sta sciogliendo la cera. So now he's mixing in the oil with the melting beeswax. And again, not at very high heat, just enough to kind of melt that wax. And this is going to form this beautiful, more solidified ointment that we will then pour into the small tins. And think of this as your little portable medicine kit that you can bring along wherever you go. Throw it in your purse or keep in your pocket for skin applications when needed.
Perché l'olio è freddo mentre
okay. So now we're increasing the temperature of it because the oil was, room temperature cold, and then it's cooling off the heating of the wax. We have to make sure that the wax gets well dissolved in there. So this is the basic recipe. So here we're making kind of like a household version of this, but if we were in the laboratory, we might add some vitamins.
Quindi dare un lotto, una scadenza più a lungo al prodotto che...
Quali vitamine si aggiunge in laboratorio?
Vitamina E.
See, so vitamin E. Vitamin E also acts as a nice antioxidant to help stabilize things. And I've done it myself just by buying capsules of vitamin E, or you can buy it in little bottles and add a bit to your treatments.
In casa con un po' di cera già, che conosciamo una...
So she's explaining that, this is something very simple to make that everyone here can make using the oils that they collect locally. and combine it with local medicinal plants, with some local beeswax, and you have this wonderful ointment. It does not have to go in their fridge. It can stay at ambient temperature in the it can stay at ambient temperature, does not need to go in the refrigerator. We've just increased a little bit of the temperature of the water to help melt the wax better. Maybe we should have waited till the wax was melted all the way before we added the oil. But that's okay. Now the wax is melting again. So we have some questions from the audience. Let's see if there's any questions from you all that are tuning in on Substack. I'll check the app here if there's any questions. Nothing new, but feel free to post them if you've got any questions. We're getting close to having this ready. Again, it's kind of almost melted. It's we should have probably let the beeswax melt all the way before we add the oil because it cooled down the process, but that's okay because it's getting there. It's starting to melt better. Okay. So we allora,
In farmacia si vendono I prodotti erboristici, eh? Sì.
allora quanto tempo può durare questa unguento? Allora, we're asking
Questo che è casalingo, quindi, in verità,
sì.
ok, però I principi attivi del
Over time, like basically over a year, you're going to start to lose some of the principal actives of the ointment. And so, this is something really you want to make annually. And that kind of goes with the cycle of when the plant's ready to harvest. You can make this every June and have a new ointment ready for the winter. And she's saying that it's almost ready. It's almost melted all the way.
Una preparazione, diciamo, ecco, come questo.
Yeah. We could also use this in the summer as well. So the closer to the time of preparation, the more active it will be. Okay. It's a nice smell. Okay.
Stavamo dicendo con la
If you have more questions
al momento possono essere
about it's important to go to a pharmacist or an herbalist that's been well trained, that has a proper education in the use of herbs. This way you make sure that you have correct ingredients used for your preparations. The ones that you can find in the pharmacy are usually very high quality, especially here in Europe where herbal preparations are much more commonly found in a lot of the pharmacies. It is a little bit different from the U.S. They're not regulated in the same way. Like they don't in the U.S. We regulate a lot of our herbs through the DSHA Act, which is the Dietary Health Supplement Education Act. But here it's regulated a bit differently. And so in the end, basically, once that we are done melting this, they'll be poured into these little tins, and then that will cool. It'll form more of a solid substance. And see, okay. The wax is still taking a little bit of time to heat, but she's doing a good job. And then once this cools off, it will make a nice portable ointment to carry with you. So I'm going to just check one last time. If anyone has questions, I'm happy to answer them. If you've got questions while we're waiting on this to melt. Any questions from anyone?
Deve essere liquido per passare pieno.
Don't see them. Let's see. It's just, yeah.
Un po' di acqua in più così
Sì, hai fatto bene.
scioglie. Vedi?
It's starting to really melt well, so we're almost there. Oh, my battery's about to run out on my phone. Say sciolto. Okay. Okay, now it's melted fully, so we're gonna get ready to pour it into the. Now that we have the melted wax and we have the oil, we're going to pour this.
Okay.
Okay.
Adesso togliamo.
Now she's
Non toccare questo tantissimo. Qua.
okay. I'm gonna move over.
Vedrà un po'.
Okay. Anyone wants to come and see? She's gonna show us. She's gonna show us the next step. So she has melted fully the wax, and now she's gonna let them smell and look at the wax. This is a mixture in liquid form. And they're asking, does it solidify after? She's saying yes, it will start to solidify. Now we can do two things. We can wait until it cools down a bit and add a little bit of essential oil of lavender to make it nicer smell. Or we can add a little bit of lavender into each little container, so that the lavender doesn't just evaporate away. So you can add the lavender directly into oil as it cools, or add it into the containers. But I think we're going to go ahead and add it to the containers because they're already pouring. And so you can see this beautiful red color to the final ointment. Again, that red comes primarily from the hypericum extract and that red St. John's wort oil that's gone into it. And now she's going to go ahead and pour those in. You can see that it's liquid now, but it will become eventually solid. She's going to put quanti gocce. She's going to do about 2 drops into each little container. And again, this is to help deal with that smell problem we mentioned earlier, because the St. John's wort doesn't necessarily smell great, but it is a really important effective medicine. So this just helps it be a bit more nice to be able to use, I guess you could say. She's going to get some more containers. To get some small containers to fill up here. Ci vuole di più? Ha bisogno di più? O devi... I'm going to mix it together. Sì. Lo apro altri. We're going to just go ahead and add some more. This way we can give these away as gifts to the participants in the workshop. And she's going to come and pour so we can see well. And this makes... No, non ci sono abbastanza barattoline perché sono tanti persone che sono venuti. Finito? Okay, now it's finished. Now she's going to add some lavender. Okay. Allora, questo è finito. Questo. Okay. So she's just adding... This needs to stay still until it solidifies. So we don't want to move it just yet. You want to make sure it's nice and solid when you let it. You need to wait for about 10 minutes for it to solidify, and then it's ready to take home. And then you can apply it topically to any kind of skin injuries or burns, especially, is what this is nice for. And yeah, so in the end, it's a really simple process that you can do pretty quickly once you have your oleolite forms. So the oleolite, again, is what takes you 20 to 40 days. But once that's ready, it doesn't take very long to actually mix it with your beeswax to make your ointments. And I love giving these away as gifts to friends. I mean, it's a really, really simple process to make an important herbal medicine. So I'm going to just check in one last time, but let's see, we can show it's already starting to solidify somewhat. You can see how this one's a little bit more firm because that's like a little bit less. and it has a nice odor of lavanda. Cioè, non so se mi metto dito per fare vedere come sì, ancora, sì. I can just show a little bit. I'm gonna show how it looks. So it kind of spreads on there, and you can just kind of put it on your skin. If I have like a burn wound, and it rubs on really easily. See, it just melts and feels really nice and soft on your skin, and it smells nice because it's got lavender. Okay, I'm gonna see if there's any last questions. If not, I'm gonna say goodbye because my phone's about out of battery. Thank you all for joining me today. If you like this comment, this content, let me know. I'll try and do more things like this whenever we have occasions for it. And I'll be posting the full recording on the newsletter later today. Thank you guys for coming. I appreciate it. Bye bye.